And we are back for episode 28. No, 28? No, 29. Yes, 29 of Kenshi 101 Season 1. And today we are at the Ancient Lab we just raided in Shun. And things are gonna get spicy because we've traveled here from quite a distance, right? And we stopped by and raided that lab. But we're gonna go through Shun, hitting a lot of these labs. Go to Drifter's Blast, yeah, for the first time. Maybe hit this way station and Clown Steady on the way back, and then head this way to the Bone Fields and Mourn. What we're not going to do is go into the Ark or the Crater because both of these places are extremely dangerous for us right now. Like, we fought a lot of beak things. There's just a ton of beak things in here. We could fight more beak things. We could maybe get in and out alive, but it's very risky. We're definitely going to take a lot of damage doing that. And, like, this raiding labs is pretty risky. Uh, got a lot of limb damage on these guys. We got Achilles, who is like one arm is useless and a ton of stomach damage, right? Green, who can't walk because one -59, like he almost lost a leg. Griffin is barely able to walk. This escaped servant is like really fucked up. Ton of blood loss. Both limbs very close to losing, and one of the legs, and the other leg is like barely even functional. And Crumblejohn is ton of like damage, but like a lot of our other guys also have a fair amount of damage to them. That's because in getting here, we fought a decent number of beak things. We fought lots of blood spiders, and then we got here and we fought all the robot spiders. And in confined spaces where they have really big AoE attacks. So like that's one of the main problems. So, this is probably the closest ruin. So heading that way. We should also make sure that, yeah, stuff is distributed well. Not you. You're pretty full. Alright, you're empty. I have Espion come over, or Leafeon come over here. I'll trade with you real quick and get some of this stuff out of here. There's probably a couple others. I feel like. Huh. I thought I saw one of these in here for a second. I don't know why. Am I losing it? That can't be right. Anywho. Let's see. What's been going on besides inventory management? I probably could have done off save. Like, I could have. Maybe I should have. Could have, should have, would have. Alright, let's trade with Eevee. Alrighty. Most of this stuff, most of it, we're pretty okay with keeping here. Actually, that and some of these science books we want to go to here. Right, here? No, we were keeping them on this guy. Alright, yeah. Grab this for a second. Grab the science books, and also grab these. So the robot kits can go over here. The books can go with this guy, who can maybe. Okay, no, we can't. We're gonna have to take something. I'm gonna say, take these, dump some of the books. Okay, that didn't solve our problems. Take this, put this back, dump all the books. Really? And while we're here, we'll throw one of the swords in there, and let's throw this in here to help a bit with space. And sure, old map. Alright. Cloud, trade, Eevee. Yes. Alright. So we'll get on food. Wow, we could use more food. Who has stuff that needs to move around? Oh, we should. I was gonna move those AI cores. Okay, this is Glaceon. You know what? Trade with Glaceon. That one? Yes. So, take some of that. Drop. Really? Really? Okay. Auto is still doing nothing. Step back. Okay. That's a little bit better. So, we got some medical stuff we want to keep. We got these things we want to keep for exercise purposes. Alright. Honestly, some of this doesn't really need to be here. Alright. Let's try keep all the building related stuff together. Like, it's not going to be a complete success, but it might be like a partial success. That can stack together. You can put all of these toolkits over here. And we don't have any toolkits over here. And this is what? Glaceon. So Sylveon has construction-y stuff, and you guys have construction-y stuff. So it seems to me all of this can be put over here. And you, same thing. How to make this work? Probably like, not sure how to make this work. There's a lot of space. Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. Up this here. And this way, it's all in the last three, easy to remember. So, Jumpion's full, and Espeon's full, and Leafeon's half full, and they all have the same stuff. Construction stuff, and a little bit of science books. Sylveon's empty, Glaceon's about half full, and then, well, you know what? Let's make Eevee full, and, would I trade with Eevee, or would I rather trade with one of these three? Yeah. Trade with Glaceon. Let's condense a little bit. Alright. That's a bit more. That's a bit more. And that's not perfect, but probably not going to do any better. Got 2 squares there. Map. There you go. So, this guy's full. And food, medicine, limbs, armor and weapons, stuff to sell. And we don't need this much iron plates. So we're going to sell a lot of those too. And we just have way too much of that. Inventory management's annoying. But that means all the stuff is in the pack animal we don't have to worry about are like slow, these guys being slow because they're carrying stuff, they're slow because, oh look, my limb's fucked up. So there's less people slowing us down. But we should move a little bit faster. It kind of looks like a tower, but I'm pretty sure there isn't a tower over there. I don't think. But I do kind of want to go check it out. I want to see, like, what is this? Even if there isn't, like, something here, there might be something interesting to look at. Apparently, Yeah, no, it's just a partially destroyed building? Like the corner of a building, I think. It looks like this side is perfectly straight, and that side makes me think this is the corner of a building and it's all that's left for some reason. Huh, odd. Whatever. Um, I think there's something over here. Also thinking maybe traveling close to the water might be a good idea. As far as like avoiding things like those spiders over there in the corner. That's because, oh, wait, no. Did they come out of the water? They did. Huh. Could outrun them. But I think I might just kill them real quick. You get that one. Then trade with Evie. I think Evie had a little bit of space for those. Yeah. 1, 2. And who had the other one? You. Apget. I don't think any more will fit. Probably not. Might be able to like yeah, yes, genius. Alright. Okay, hold, stop moving, heal. Okay. I think there's something over here. And I know there's this. There might be one here, there's one over here. Tons of more ruins. Alright. A lot of places to loot. Goats v spiders, round 1. Bing. And the goats are victorious. And I think Evie has room for what, 4 more? Yeah, 4 more. Right, that, yeah, okay. Ooh. That's just like free money. That's like 600? Yeah, 600. I think. Glaceon, yeah. 600 in random animal parts. Staple, that was easy. Ooh. Leave me alone. I mean you no harm. And yep, there is an outpost here. And they have thankfully decided to leave me alone. And those are goats. Alright, let's go. Why is Cloud not here? What the fuck? How did that happen? What the fuck? Seriously? And the game crashed. Ooh. Don't know what they're doing, but do I have to redo all this inventory management? Okay, some of it. Alright. You are empty. Trade. First, go through here, make sure there's nothing we need to move out. Okay. Then come here. It's fine. This is fine. Okay, this can go. Otherwise it's fine. I think so then leave on. So I'd like to get a month of that onto these two. And that's annoying. Trade with Sylveon. Leafeon. Alright, I'm gonna get some of this stuff also there. Dump this, dump this, dump this. I got 5. 5. Okay. Alright, how else can we make this stuff fit? Yeah, I'm out. You know what? If I do that. Yes. No. Yes. Yes. Okay. Shift. I'm gonna have to do that. Don't think it's any more in here. Any other way, and then Leafeon has the rest. Okay. It's not bad. Annoying. So, that's over. Now we can hopefully move a little bit faster. Hopefully. Or this whole game fucking crashed. We're moving this way. Ran into some spiders. Probably gonna run into some more spiders. And we're moving towards the ruin. We saw one over here, which we'd probably go to. Some reason that I don't understand. Cloud was some of them are still on hold. Could I have been accidentally not selected him, and that's why he just stood there, not moving now. Yeah, these guys are on hold too. Don't attack me. I don't want to fight you. Thank you. Hello. You weren't here last time. Oh, tech hunters. Ooh. Tech hunters who've been busy. So I found a mod, and I got excited, and I was like, God, I really wish I want this mod. I want this mod. Oh boy, I want this mod. But the problem with this mod is it would require importing the save. And I don't think I want to do that on this quite at this moment, which is frustrating. It's a mod that gives NPCs robot limbs, which is like, I wanted this to exist for so long, and it just, every time I've looked, it just wasn't there. And now it is. And I'm just like, yeah. And it also comes with some fixes, and like it's also like the guy who made it's Japanese, so like all the text in Japanese was like English Google translated, and it's like, yes, I love it. And it's wonderful. And then in broken English, well, Google translated English, he's just like, here is all these fixes to potential problems in separate mods, so you can install or not install them if you want to, which is just like great. Because then, like, you, the user, have the choice of, like, do I want to apply this fix? Do I not want to apply this fix? And it was like, okay, well, if I have a robot limb, how do I repair it? I need a robot repair kit. Here's a mod to give normal people robot repair kits. And then you can install it or not install it if you feel like it's game breaking in some way, like, adding wealth to people who need, the repair kits. but then you take them out, and then you take the repair kits. It's like, yeah. So if you want to do it, you can do it. If you don't want to do it, you don't want to do it. It also had another mod, which I probably wouldn't do, with this repairs NPCs limbs, and makes them like the durability. So right now, here comes a gorillo. I don't like gorillos. Fuck off, man. Right now, this arm isn't at 235. This, okay, that's fine. Like this is not at 200. That's not at 200. Though, you know what I mean? Like 154, that's not at 200. So it would be at 200. I need to go to a skeleton repair bed to get it up to 200 again. Because, you know, I took some hits, stuff happens. That's life, right? And I'm working my way towards getting skeleton repair kits, but for that I need a lot of stuff to build them and to build the power requirements to run them. Which I'm working on. I am. Okay, I'm just gonna put holds. Who's gonna fight? Rain, you're a bit beat up. Infinite Wing Wang, you're up. Beep, you're up. You need to level up. You know what? Robo Boop, you're up. That's 3. Bard, you're up. Green's being carried. Who's someone who could use some experience? You know what? Cloud. You fucked up, Cloud. Where is Cloud anyway? Okay, you're coming. Alright. I'm thinking Hobbs. Hold. Hold, unhold, beep. Beep. Hurry. Yeah, get your hits in. Alright. Unhold. Come over here. Who's gonna take that leather? Probably you. Glaceon. So, loot. Glaceon. Great. So, we've got an armory. The door is closed but unlocked, which means probably not that much good stuff in here if the door is unlocked. But we'll open it anyway, because that's what we do here. There might be something good. But 50-50. But we're gonna give it a look. You never know. Sometimes you don't expect to find gold, and you find gold, and it's like, holy shit. Like, my first time finding silver on a sword, not expecting to find silver, I was just like, ah, this is amazing. And I can still remember it the first time I get really excited, because, like, I've never, like, this, and suddenly silver on my sword that I own. It's like, and then when I first figured out, wait a minute, some of these swords are gilt, and I didn't even notice. Because it's like a slightly different color of yellow. That was kind of cool. Like gold plating. But like very, very, very little gold is actually used in gold plating. But like, it's still cool. It's still like this thing with like, ah, that's awesome. Let's see. Okay. So, so there is stuff, but there's security spiders. Run away. Run away! Run away! Okay. You want to hold? How am I gonna do this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So we want you to come here. 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 Sad Neil, run around. Hit him. Surround them. Kill them. Kayak. You. Come closer. Come closer, my dear. Come on. You're literally right on this fucking thing. How close do you have to get? It's the middle of the fucking day. Just... okay. We found come back. How you guys doing health-wise? You got a bit of arm damage. You're all okay. You got some leg damage. Okay. Hobbs, you're back on hold. Pseudo's being used. Okay, Chad. Oh, these guys are on hold. Whoops. I don't think I have to take that off. So good. Good. Well, I was also manually telling them where to stand, so it's like, whatever. That's fine. Griffin's got some, bot, bot's okay. Yeah. So I will have Bard. He will be the bait. Okay. Fucking hell. That's 5-ish. That's, I think, one too many. Whatever. Like, coming out? Two, three, four, five. On hold. On hold. Everybody's fucked up. We're gonna be okay. Okay, who was it? Was it you? You. Come over here. Griffin. Leviathan. Come on, that's not what you're supposed to do, you piece of shit. Leviathan, grab it. Alright, so you're dead. You're dead. Those two are not dead. Come on. Who will be the new bait? Definitely not bot or escape servant. I think... Who dropped you? You wasn't you. Oh, Hammett. Hammett probably dropped... Yeah, Hammett probably dropped him when he took the chest damage, went down, got back up. Alright. Kaguya's running slow. Sad Neil's okay. Bot is fucked up. Marukia is okay. Rukia, pick him up. Alrighty. You, 5? Right? Yeah. Actually, yeah, your 5 are up and running. And then, who will be the bait? Chad? Go be a Chad. You are Chad. I think that's all of them. Okay. And you guys can stay out here. So, we need to pick some locks, I think. I think there's like almost nobody who can pick these locks. I think that one's pretty hard. Should be a couple of them here. Alrighty, pick that one. I think there's one over here that's pretty hard. Let's see. Isn't this normally locked? And sometimes those are. And sometimes this is, but not this time. Huh. There's just not that many locks. Apparently. This place normally has locks on these display. Oh, this one. That was an easy one. Then that's not locked either. Huh. Okay. Weird. Get the rice bowl. Oh wait, you got stuck. Where'd he go? Did he go upstairs? He did. Green. Pick up. Put down. Put down. Go pick up green. Hold off. Hold off. Nothing in here, nothing in here. Got a plank and a decent plank. Mark 3. That'll do some damage. A skeleton leg, specialist grade. Press hinge, not useful. Like, motors in real life, like, if you ever open one up, you're gonna be shocked. It's like so much fucking wire in it. It's insane. Like, alright. Who to trade with? I'm gonna say Leafia? Okay. Dump this and dump that and trade the rest to Sylvian. Yeah. Yeah, motors are like, you don't realize it just looking at them, but like when you get it, like when you tear them apart, they're like insane. This is so much wire. And it makes me, oh, masterwork hood. Ooh. Wait, is that better than what he, is that better? Wait, no, you got a specialist. Let's compare it. So, this is heavy, this is medium, but this is specialist is masterwork. So, it's only 3% difference in blood resistance going from, but like, again, different quality. Okay, more significant cut resistance and better harpoon resistance on the armored hood. Interesting. Interesting. Alrighty, who, you know what? Lebeep, come here. Trade. You're going up in the world. You are getting Le Good helmet. And who else needs a helmet who doesn't have a good one? I think everyone has standard or better for armored hoods. I don't think anyone has a stolen one. Like, I think a lot of you have high-end specials already. Only a few have standard. So, like, there's really no one who needs it. Alright. Then under stairs. Let's put that in the bag. Get here, and the display has fuel and money. And another one of these. This is like a store out in the middle of nowhere. And it's got display cases, lights everywhere. It's chainmail. So chainmail sheets are worth a lot of money. It doesn't really make all that much sense. I mean, if you think of it from like a labor perspective, it is extremely labor intensive to make chainmail. However, historically, the value of labor hasn't been very high throughout history. The idea, like nowadays, labor being like a significant cost is like a very new thing. It used to be labor was very cheap, and that has since changed in modern day. But once upon a time, it wasn't that way, and as a result, when you look at pricings of things in antique times, certain things that are expensive now weren't expensive then, and vice versa, for various types of different goods. And the difference, like the thing here, like the deciding factor, personally, is the difference in the value of labor. Which is not that like it's not saying that our current values are wrong, just that our current values are different. Which is like, this is like, is the way it is. It's not like judgment on what's right or not right or whatever. But like, something when studying history you have to understand is like, some people look at it as like history, is like we need to like compare the now to the then, and other people are more like, we need to look at it in the context of like, what did these people think about it? Like, you know what I mean? Like, their history is their history, not now. And if you look at it through a modern lens, lots of things don't make sense, but that's because you're looking at it through a modern lens. Not because it didn't make sense in then, and it's sort of like better to try to understand then than try to like be like, I don't know, super political about it, like we do the trains, everything, or whatever. Because the end of the day, like, we're always going to, like, the stuff we do now that's like in the future someone's going to look back and like, why did they do that? And that's sort of been like all of history. Like all of history, there's stuff they're doing then that doesn't make sense to us now, and vice versa. And there's like we're no different. There's going to be people in the future who are going to be like, why did they do this? And like those people in the past are going to look back at what we did and be like, why did they do this? And it's not that different. Like, their culture and our culture aren't the same. So it's like people kind of get the idea of like, oh, I can look at a culture of like a different country now and be like, okay, it's a different culture. I need to understand that something's going to be different and try not to like judge their culture, try to understand it and whatever. But then when you take that to looking at your own culture from like 1,000 years ago, people are like, no, that's crazy. Because like they don't really think about it too much. They just see it as if it's their culture, or like they should be like they like put modern lenses on when they look at it, not like look at it in period, how like, and try to understand it and why they did what they did and how they thought and everything. And you lose some things in trying to look at it through that lens of like now instead of looking through the lens of then. Like the cost of labor, and how how chainmail was considered very cheap because while it's labor intensive, the material cost is basically steel or iron, a lot of times wire, right? That is wrapped around something that's usually like a metal pole to give it that ring shape, and then cut into rings, and then you'd hammer one bit of it to make it flat, and you'd hammer another piece into it to chisel a little tiny hole, or punch a tiny little hole, and then you'd put a little piece of metal through there, and like either have something sort of like a plier type thing to clamp it, to sort of put the little bit of like often weak iron or brass on either side to basically rivet it, or sometimes brass, and sometimes it would heat it, but a lot of times it would do it not heated because it was easier. And boom, you have riveted mail, and it sounds like a lot of steps, but like if you do it 100,000 times, you kind of get a little bit faster at it. And a lot of it is like you're gonna make a million identical rings, you're gonna make a million identical little tiny holes in the flat bits, you're gonna hammer a million tiny identical flat bits to put that hole in, etc. Like at the end of the quote unquote ring. So it's not quite connected yet. You have like the two little ends that are cut, and to put them together, you gotta like, yeah. So this is a library. So this is gonna have some good stuff. If I remember right, this one might be protected. I seem to remember once upon a time coming here and fighting stuff, and it is locked. I'm gonna have to pick that lock. It's not an easy to pick lock. It might. I remember fighting here. I don't remember what I thought why. We just have to get everyone over here, because if we do fight something, it's better to be all over here than like way over here. Pick. Anywho, the point is the same. Like, I need to try to understand this culture, and like try not to judge foreign cultures. Like, do these people eat an animal that I don't eat? Is that gross? Is that not gross? Like, different cultures eat different things, and that's okay. Like, don't freak out. That's okay. Stuff like that, where it's like, nowadays, like, if you look at that from like a different, like, if you're in like the U.S. and you're some Asian country, it's like people understand, okay, hey, different cultures, different places. We try to judge them from our standards. Like, does mares work differently there? Does whatever work differently there? Like, does how polite they are or aren't differently be, or like, for instance, in Japan, if you don't say goodnight, is considered extremely insulting, versus if somebody doesn't say goodnight in like almost all the rest of the world, it's like whatever, whatever, man. It's like I'm not gonna say goodnight every fucking day of the rest of existence, but in Japan, if you don't do that, you are like that's throwing shade. You're like, fuck you. Like that's not, that's like, and people don't accidentally not say goodnight. You don't just forget. Like it's a big deal culturally. I don't know why. I can't explain it. It is for some strange reason I don't understand. But like stuff like that, right? And if you go there and you don't do it, like it's a sort of like, and there's a certain expectation foreigners might not understand your culture, so they sort of like, okay, you probably don't get it. We're not going to like act like you just spat in our face, and vice versa. Like you would not expect them to expect you to know that. If they did expect you to know that, it's sort of like, wait, what? It's cultural differences. Like the same sort of thing when you're looking at like the past. If you got to understand different cultures, like once upon a time, slapping someone with a glove was a very, very serious, like them's fighting words. Like that's literally telling them to a fight to the death. And nowadays, if you slap someone with a glove, like that's like you're not gonna hurt them at all. It's not like a grievous insult. It's this kind of silly. Like what are you doing? Right? And if you don't, maybe you don't understand the context of that and you read, oh, somebody slapped somebody with a glove and then they killed him for it. Like you might not understand the context of that's you telling them like hey, I challenge you to a fight to the death. Unless you're a pussy, bro. Like that's what they're saying. What was that slap to the face with a glove? Like that's a challenge to fight to the death. And if that's like something like they understood, and it's something like some people who read history understand, but like nowadays, not many people know that context. So like if you read that and it like leaves out some bits, like hey, let me explain what this means in case you don't know this, because like back in the day, everybody knew this, right? Like if someone gets mad when it's like, why did you ask me this? You could have you could have Googled it. Well, like 1,000 years in the future, and people are like, what's Google? You know what I mean? Why should they expect you to Google this? Is this complicated? Is this simple? Like, they might not understand all that context. And you're not going to put that context in your, email from 2000 or whatever, right? Like, the understanding there is, like, expected that, like, anyone reading this would understand that. But, like, someday in the future, someone's going to read that and they're going to be like, what the fuck is Google? What the fuck is the internet? Like, it's unfathomable, but that is going to happen someday if we're still around. I mean, if anyone's still around, if we don't wipe ourselves out, someday the idea of like the memory of what this thing is going to be completely gone, completely. And like reading history, you gotta understand that like all of this stuff context that you don't have and you're never going to get for a lot of things. Like, uh, if you've ever watched the movie known as The King, which is on Netflix, it's a famous story of Henry V from Shakespeare, like Shakespeare's Henry V. It's a famous play, and it's being told in movie form. Thank you, Netflix. It's probably like the best thing, one of the best things you've ever done. And It's really good for a number of reasons. There are things they get wrong. There's like certain battles where they'll like put two battles into one battle, or like stuff like that. Where there's lots of things that are left out because it's a movie. Like they're trying to fit an entire war into a single movie. Like if you try to fit all of like the like this was a multi-year long war in foreign territory. Like this wasn't like a day spa. You know what I mean? Like the first battle wasn't even a full battle, it's just a siege and then they surrender, right? That took like months in real life. And they basically just skipped most of it. You know what I mean? It was like a couple seconds of people just moving around and like the end. Like that's you know, this had to leave a lot of stuff out. This is how it works in that format. So that's like very understandable. But like there's so much stuff they got right. It's like when they fired arrows at the armor, people died, but they didn't die because the arrow went through their armor. They died because the arrow went eventually either hit points or more importantly hit the horses. Horses died a lot, and if you're a knight in the very front, and your horse gets shot and you fall, right? You got a million other knights behind you, and each horse is like 1,000 to 2,000 pounds. Like I know if you Google horse, you're gonna find you see a number and think, oh, then but keep reading. Later, it talks about different types of horses. There are horses that get up there 1,500, 2,000 more pounds. I think the record's like 3,000 or something crazy. But they weren't all using massive, like the 3,000, whatever. But a lot of them were using like 1,500 to 2,000, like big horses, because these horses had to wear armor, have a knight person, big, muscular, heavy on top, armor of that person on it, right? And all the weapons, and also the saddle and clothing and various types of gear. Like you need belts to be, you know, have your sword and have your sword scabbard, and have your dagger and have dagger scabbard, and you know you're gonna have something to drink with you on there. You're gonna have like probably like a whip because or like something to use with the horse to try to like control the horse. Uh, and also, you know, servants and whatever. You might use that on them because, in period, right? People are horrible. Um, let's see. I think you trade, and then you. And I think the rest of this is all sell. Actually, no, that needs to go to him as well. It's a unique map, and these are all garbage. And that's the unique map that I already know. Aha. All right. So various map locations added. What do we got? We've got Narco's Trap, which is a Holy Nation thing. We've got a factory in the Forbidden Isles. Woohoo. We've got an outpost in the pits, and another one somewhere between Green Bees and the pits, east. And doesn't look like anything else interesting. Sadly, no ashlands. Alrighty. So, I think there's something up here. Think, or like here somewhere. And we got these, and I think there's something over here somewhere. I got this one. One of these two. Anywho, point is, yeah, context matters. And, uh, anywho, that movie, there is this really weird scene that if you are not like a super big history buff, you probably saw and were like, what the fuck? Where they brought out some swans, they killed the swans, and they swore by these swans. So, uh, there's that's this, like, this whole big thing that's like, it's, you know, straight out of the history books. And we don't understand all of it. We understand some of it, most of it. But there was a title, you know, very prestigious, known as the Keeper of the Swans. And maybe heard something along the lines of all the swans belong to the Queen of England. Uh, including her territories, which is like a lot of them were imported to like the Americas. Like every single swan is a descendant of one imported to the Americas, as like because that's her territory. Once upon a time, they brought her animals to colonize her territory. And yeah. So the title, Keeper of Swans, Super Persivis, they had swans. They swore by the swans. I don't know for sure whether they killed the swans while, swearing to the swans. I don't know why that particular animal. Uh, Instructions unclear. But that was the thing they did. There's some stuff lost in translation as to like why swans? Swearing to who? Are you swearing to God? Like at this period, you're supposedly all Catholic. Is this like some weird mistranslation of like the Bible or something? Because like also this is before King James Bible, right? So everyone's going off of like the Latin Bibles, and we're not even sure which of the Latin Bibles they were using at the time because like there's so many different translations, and like digging into the history of the Bible, the various translations, the mistranslations, mistakes, and like things that have been changed, like that is a rabbit hole. Ah, oh, god damn it. What the fuck is going on? And the game just crashed. And we're back. Just getting token, hey, something went wrong, error messages, and the game crashed. But what also happened is the game crashed and OBS decided to make 2 copies of the save of the recording, but only 1 copy of the save was really a copy of the save, and the other one was just a copy that was corrupt and had bad data in it. So like OBS is having problems at the exact same time. So probably something to do with them both using the same GPU memory or whatever, and it's creating errors and conflicting, causing corruption, causing weird stuff to happen, like the game crashing and or OBS making mistakes. Like it said there was 2 files. It said they were identical. It said, but they had different names. But it said they're both the exact same length and the exact same size. But when you play one, everything works fine. When you play the other one, it instantly stops working. And when you try to like inspect, like dig a little closer, it's like, oh wait, this is not really this big. It just says it's this big, but it's not. So you had this like a blank file that had like an incorrect file information attached to it. It's like, okay, that's clearly an error. So, like, I don't have error correcting RAM. Like, almost nobody does for their desktop machines, which is a shame. It's kind of cool. But there's this thing that can happen. So, you know how radiation's just like everywhere, right? So you have like a baseline radiation from like the sun and from like various other sources. So like this is radiation everywhere. So, but like it's not that big of a deal. Like you get a little bit of radiation on you, like it causes a little tiny bit of damage, but like your cells heal. That's normal. That's fine. Stuff decays. It gets better. That's life. Um, so here's a fun thing about we're alive, so we can heal from stuff. Computers aren't alive; they don't heal from damage. So what can happen is a single bit either on your RAM or on your hard drive or SSD can take a little tiny bit of radiation that hits it just right that causes a bit to flip. It's like a 1 to go to a 0 or 0 to go to a 1. Because like radiation has energy in it and it can release energy when it hits something, and by releasing the energy it can change the state of it, because as technology gets more complicated, all these little tiny bits of information get tinier and tinier and tinier and tinier. So how significant that little tiny bit of radiation is has increased significantly as we have shrunk in like the parts to like, what are we at, 7 nanometer now? So like we're getting that to the point where our transistor is significantly smaller than a like hair, or there are like things you think of like microscopic bacteria that are bigger, and like viruses that are significantly bigger than a transistor. Like if I remember right, COVID is bigger than 7 nanometers. But I'm going from memory, so like, don't quote me on this. Look it up. Like, look it up on Google. But like, that's insane. Like, I remember reading like checking the specs on some of my masks, and they were saying like, "Hey, this is only made to stop things bigger than 10 nanometer." And I'm like, "Wait a minute, wait a minute. That's smaller than our transistors, or bigger than our transistors, or transistors smaller than that. Like what? What?" And had a little moment of shock. Okay, it looks like this autosave I didn't move all the books over yet. That's okay. So I think what I need to do is probably, yeah, you and you. Anywho, uh, so that can happen. That's the thing. It's kind of cool. There's a famous case, I believe Belgium or the Netherlands, where some politician, there's a bit flip, and we were able to like figure it out with a bit flip because the amount it was off was exactly the right amount for it to be one bit flipping, like one very specific bit flipping, and we ruled out every other possible, like I say humanity, not me, I wasn't involved. Humanity, this like because it was an election, the government was like, we're gonna spend as much money as we need. We need to figure this out. This is important, right? Elections being accurate, very important. So they dug into this. They paid all the experts. They dug in like they really dug into this, and they figured out, hey, we know what the problem is. It was a bit flip. Oh, now there's stuff in the ass glands. Okay, yeah, that's weird. So we got one in the Iron Valleys. We don't have Narco, but we do got two in the Athlands now. And we also have this same one in Pitts and Greenmead. So this is the same. These two are different. This one's different. And we don't have, I think we got Narco from last time, but we don't have Narco now. Huh. That's weird. I guess it's not the same ones every time. Okay. Didn't know that. That's cool. Complete accidental discovery thanks to a computer crash. Science. That's how we got, what was it? What did we discover from an accident? Let's think. What do we get from accidents? I believe it was theorized that cheese was discovered by accident. But, like, how would you even prove that? I don't know. Let's do this. Move that, and then got more space. Those will fit. I think that's good. I can move this, move that. Alright. So this is Leafeon. Here was Espeon. Not really much is gonna fit here. One steel, okay. And Eevee's full. And I think we're good. You know what, oh. Leafeon and Sylveon. And you, why not? Great. So, Leafeon and Glaceon and Sylveon. Let's just dump all of this. Glaceon. Grab. I'm thinking let's condense this a little bit. If we can. This might not be so easy. Move that, move that. Okay, that fits pretty well. That doesn't fit pretty well. Um, um, Okay, making things fit for 200. Extra bad. How to make fit. Get something bigger here. Let's say, alright. Then we have a flat space. And we can move stuff around. Okay, that might work. Hmm. And maps. And then we got, what, 3 squares? We're not gonna figure out, I think, a better way to do that. I don't think. Okay. And it's dead. Uh-oh. Don't move. We do kind of want some of this. There's some good stuff here. Nothing too amazing. Skeleton muscles itself are decent. But there's some decent stuff here. We definitely want the copper, we want the motor, armor plating. Anywho, before we crashed, I was talking about something I find fascinating, which is the history of the Bible and its changes over time. Because we don't have the original Bible. And the original Bible was like, there's like all this stuff that like you're told or you think you know about it. That when you start digging into like, okay, where's the original text in the original translation? Like, do we have the original text? And like, who wrote this? Who wrote that? And you start digging into like the provenance of the actual like book itself, and you start finding stuff that you didn't think you'd find, like at all, and it's like extremely interesting when you were like, wait a minute, this isn't at all what I thought. What? What the fuck? And it's pretty it's like like if you're listening to this and you're like you've probably at least know at least some of what's in the Bible. Like, I don't care who you are, you probably know at least some of like what's in there, and you've heard stuff from it. Like, it could be from literally anywhere. It's like it's a best-selling book of all time. Like, no joke. Like nothing can compare, partially because like we know for sure that this has been selling lots and lots and lots of copies for like thousands of years, and it's been making new copies for thousands of years, and like actually calculating all that is almost impossible because you have to like when you do the value transition from like old money to new money and adjusting for inflation, right? You gotta adjust for like inflation throughout literally all of time. Like pretty much all of recorded history, pretty much, because it's not just like you don't just count like the New Testament version. You also gotta count the Old Testament version, because like that's the thing, and like many Jews had that for many years before Jesus came along. So it just gets really complicated, and it's like then it gets like, do you count like all the other various versions of it? Like, do you count the version where it's like, oh, we also including all of what was it, John Smith? John Smith, yes. We have the John Smith version, right? The Book of Mormon, because like some of that is just word for word the Bible, like as we know it from like other versions of the Bible that we unquestionably count, but some of it isn't. So it's like, well, because some of it is the same, do we count it? Do we not count it? How much difference do you need before you not count it? Like, do we like look at the Islam? Like some of that is like we count Jesus as a prophet. He was a man, just a man type, but his words were right as a prophet of uh, fuck Allah. Yes. So it gets extremely complicated. Nobody's ever going to agree on what versions count and don't count. Like, like what? And also, like, adjusted for inflation and different types of currencies throughout 2,000 plus years of all the craziness. Like, calculating is pretty much impossible. Like, maybe a computer could do it, but for a human, it's like, nope, can't do. I quit. Send me the bill. But regardless, like, best selling of all time, even without doing all the math. Because it's been selling for all of time, pretty much. All of recorded, not all of recorded history, but like most of recorded history. So we have that one guy in Hammett, right? We got nothing else, right? Ah, we do have a rum here. Random rum on Chad. I'm not seeing things. Okay. And you can't store that. And you can. Okay. So Hammett needs to trade with Espion to get rid of this. And what the fuck are we gonna do with the rum? I guess Glaceon. Huh. Yeah, the Glaceon's the only empty one. Wait. Where is it? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Okay. Chad. Anywho. But what's really interesting about it is finding all the differences. Like, there is reason to believe that the original Judaism was polytheistic, which, like, people will literally murder you for saying that, like, in some parts of the world. But some of the oldest Dead Sea Scroll versions that we have use words like, and phrases like, the sons of God, plural sons of God, when speaking about, like, talking to the devil in heaven with all of his angels and the sons of God. And there have been various translations of it that later became the sons of the angels of God or the sons of Abraham. So, meaning changing the translation from, like, God's other sons. And there is another, like, there's several places where it talks about this, and also another place where it talks about the lands, like, so where it talks about how the first son of God being Elohim, which is another word for God, but if they mean that Elohim is a different Elohim than Yahweh, then what? And, like, they're used because that would imply that in different parts with using Elohim or Yahweh that it's not the same person, it's two different people. And this is all just like a, hey, here's like this barely scratching the surface of this thing. If you find it interesting, go look into it. Because, like, I am not covering like 99% of this, you know what I mean? 99.9% of this. I'm just like scratch the surface. This is this cool thing that is like very like obscure bit of history that could like change our understanding of like most religions, right? That of the Western world at the very least, and the Middle East. Would, you know, what if there wasn't one God? What if there were many gods in the Jewish religion? How would that change things? Would that change things? For most religions in the Western world, the answer is yes. You know? Like, because that's the origin of monotheism, is there is one God, and originally the Christian Jewish one was the first there is one God that I know of. I mean, everyone else was either like polytheistic or whatever. Like, well, like, how would you like Buddhism? Like, I am not a god. Well, okay, and then you do the other version of Buddhism where it's like, oh, except for in like China, and it's like, oh, but actually, no, he is a god. And it's like, uh, kind of weird because like you look at the origin, right? The where it came from. It came from this place. This is the guy. This is the original text. This is what he said. This is the translated version of it. And oh, look, it's saying the exact opposite. What? But I'm not gonna test that too much. But like looking in the Christian Bible and comparing that to like Catholic Bible, it's like, oh, there's some differences here. And looking at that and comparing it to like some of the Dead Sea Scroll versions and some of the books that weren't included in the what we consider the Bible now, because back in the day they had various like the Council of what Nicaea, and there's one in like Council of Carthage and all the other councils that got together and decided what is the Bible, what isn't the Bible. And back in the day they made these decisions and based off, reasoning that's not given to us. Like, why did they make these decisions? Well, can we read the notes? Oh, this is the Southern Hive. Very cool. We need to raid that at some point. Take out the queen and another outpost up here. So, like, if you want to know why was this book not collected, well, that happened. That decision was thousands of years ago. Can we know why they made that decision? No. There is some Though once upon a time there was a faction of Christians who believed that Legas women were equal to men. Shock. Oh. So that was a thing. And that sect basically died out and was considered blasphemers and heretics. Like that'd be a very interesting alternate history. What if like a history book written, like an alternate history book, like not real, like a fiction of like what if this sect went out and modern day Catholicism this never existed because this sect went out and oh, women and men are equal in the eyes of God, and women should not submit to their husbands and yada yada yada, right? That would be an interesting book to read. And it's like that was a thing that like there are people who thought this like 1900 years ago, and they had this big disagreement with them, and that was like this whole thing, and it was like a big deal back then. And there's all these religious discussions about like what do we do about this, and part of that maybe is there are some Bible verses that were changed that would move women's names from being said first to being said second, or the characters whose names were changed from a feminine name to a male name, but it doesn't say what gender they are, but they had a feminine name and now they don't, which sort of implies that the person is slightly changing the name, sort of like if a guy, assumably, was named Daniel, and they changed, or okay, if you had saw a name Daniela, you say Daniela is probably a girl. If you change it to Daniel, you say Daniel probably a dude, right? And like something like that, where it's like it's not a huge difference. It's literally just adding one letter at the end of the word, and it's a similar word, but it changed the meaning of it from a guy to a girl. So when it's talking about how these two use a word that could mean good friends or people married together, and instead of a husband and wife, it's two guys who are just really good friends, but totally not gay, or met the Lord. And when they changed that to hey, two people who were just really good friends but totally not gay, to the two people who were the guy and a girl, and they were married, and they met this guy, but they named the girl first, which sort of could be used to argue, well, if God said her name first, why, or not God, if Jesus said her name first. Why did he say her name first instead of his name first? Because if women are supposed to submit to their husbands, why is God not making her seem lesser or whatever by saying her name, whatever? You know what I mean? Like, that got changed because there was a sect who was like, hey, we should be equal, and everyone else was like, no. And then they changed something, and like, that matters, but like, it's something that almost nobody knows about and nobody talks about, and nobody will, like, like, most people won't talk about it or ever even hear about this, because the modern day religious view is that you cannot question whether something was mistranslated at some point, because if you do, you have to question everything. With, like, people don't want to do that. But like, people make people make mistakes with like translations with like everything. So it's like, the question is, like, let's say there is a God, right? For argument's sake, would he allow for human error, or would he not allow for human error? If we make a mistake, would he allow us to suffer the consequences of our mistake or not? Right? Is that not free will? Like, here you go. Just keep track of this. Don't fuck it up. Oh, wait. We already saw that with the 10 Commandments, where it's like, here's the 10 Commandments. Oh, look, you broke them. Ah, fuck you. I'm not making it again. You make it again. And maybe you did it right, maybe you didn't. Like, we literally have this, a whole story about this. It's like, we've already done this one. And then if you don't believe there is a God, then none of this matters. But except for from the historical point of like, for how long, how many people have believed there is a God? Oh, like, almost all of human history. And did this affect their beliefs and whatnot? Yes. Okay then. Pick lock. None of you can pick it. All right. I'm just gonna say, all of you come here, and all of you guys come here too. Nobody should be on hold. And you are aimless, so I have to go see what you're doing real quick. All these guys all spend forever swimming. Anyway, to get out of history of religion for a second and talk about, the thing that I actually like talking about, swords. I did a pretty interesting sword today, which was from Africa. And somebody was asking me, hey, so there's this African sword, and something I've noticed is lots of African swords tend to be very bulky, very overbuilt compared to other swords from other places and other periods. And why is this, right? Which is a very, very, very good question. Very good question. And the reasoning behind this is basically tribalism, right? So if you live in a tribe, like, good for you. But there are some pros and cons to tribalism, right? So part of the good part is you have like a group, right? You have a group of people who will like be on your side and help protect you when stuff goes bad, and like, if there's a war, you're on the same side together, right? Against whoever. So good part of tribalism, right, is you have somebody on your tribe you can go to who'll stick up for you, sort of like a government, right? Except for this is often areas where their government just basically has been non-functional for long periods of time, or never been functional, right? Because like, where it's still around. But the tribalism. And one of the big negatives of tribalism is tribes tend to not stick in one place very long. And tribalism tends to have lots of hunter-gatherer type stuff, and they don't tend to have this sort of large farming community that you would expect from certain other types of that's not gonna fit. Move this, move this, move this. Buy. Alright. That all works? Yeah, I could buy some more of these, but I think I'm okay. Alright. So I need to work on these, but first I need to go put those backpacks away. And I think I'm probably gonna sell some of those little backpacks. We keep getting big ones. We want big ones. We don't want little ones. It's in this one, yes. Inventory. So, dump these, right? And we want to take, how to fit. I'd like to take more. I guess that'll do for now. I want to get rid of all these little backpacks because they're taking up space, and I want to put other things in their place. Will you get there in time? Who knows? Probably not. And you did. Okay, still open. And trade. So dump these old garbage bags. We have got the better ones. And they can fight whatever it is. Yep, they're already done. Okay, so that's functional. That's functional. That's functional. This one needs iron electrical components. This one needs electrical components. So I'm going to build you. You have 2 electrical components. And this one also needs electrical components. And I think some of these need iron. So we have enough stuff to do some building for him for a while. Back over here. Okay, Stubbs is coming along slowly. Looks like this is... No, I need to only do the ones that are right here. The other ones will keep swimming. Oh, not good. Not good. Why? Can they not swim? What's going on? I can get attacked, but they can't fight back, or... What the fuck is going on? That's getting hit over and over and over. He's in the water. Okay, I need to pick him up, right? Pick him up. Pseudo. Okay, that spider's dead. That one's passed out. Pseudo. Pick up. Jolteon. What the fuck happened over here? Fuck you. Don't get back up. And now they freak the fuck up trying to heal everyone. Up one, okay. Who can pick that lock? Probably like almost no one. Sick. None of you skilled enough. Alright. And, oh, you're aimless now. You done building? I gotta pause the game. Let it sit for a second. Okay. Alrighty. I have no idea how long I've been streaming because now it's in multiple parts and I haven't been keeping track of the time. Woohoo. He can go back to doing tech because he has finished a lot of this. So probably electronic stuff. we do have some AI cores, so I can do the last what do I do? Yeah, I'll go do that. Alrighty. So that has been unlocked. Anything up here locked? And the whole building is fucking crooked. Great. This will make looting totally fun. Alrighty. Got this thing over here. You may notice that like all these buildings are fucking identical. That's part of the reason I'm not too worried about looting all these maps, because we keep finding this, or buying all the maps. So we keep finding maps that we already know the stuff to, and we keep finding maps, so it's like, oh, yeah. So, if we find a map, we read it, great. If we find a map, we already know it, and we sell it, we don't get as much money as the cost of buying it. So, long term, it's best to find the maps instead of buying the maps, if we can. But that's like 1,000-mile long view, you know? And maybe you need it here and the now. I don't know. Maybe you just want to go on the wiki. Okay, go get that map. You have image. Why aren't you moving? Map. Alright. Loot. Okay, don't want the broken damaged book. And I think that's all the good stuff. We also have, I think, some maps. 2. Got one in the Ashlands and one in the Forbidden Isles. So, a lot of stuff in the Ashlands today. Got some books over here. Parchment. Anywho, right. Asking swords. So, they're asking, you know, why that some of them are so, big and bulky, and the TLDR is tribalism is good at some things, bad at other things. And one of the things it's bad at is so many people are not specializing. So in modern societies, you have somebody really good at one thing, and you have someone can be really good at that one thing, and they can do that one thing, and they can be the best at, say, making swords. And as a result, because they're the best at making swords, everyone buys swords from them, and so they can sell their swords for more money than someone else would sell their swords for, and people would rather buy their swords than do it themselves because they can't make a sword as good as this guy can make a sword, right? And as a result, that guy's swords become more valuable because he's very good at making swords because he spends all of his time making swords, or hammers or pots or pans or silverware or whatever, right? And then you have other people who spend all the time mining metal or coal or making cutting trees and making charcoal to sell to make metal, right? And do metal work, like whatever it is, right? So people specializing in doing stuff, and these people, in order to do this, right, they need there's a requirement to do this. You need a civilization that doesn't move around too much. Lots of tribalist societies are very nomadic, and that's no good, because if you are blacksmiths, if you're making all these tools and a workshop and your anvil and whatever, and you have to pick up and move, you're leaving almost all of your stuff. Like, you cannot take 10, 20, 50,000 pounds of stuff with you. You just can't. Like, even today. Like, there is a cost associated with moving all of that stuff. And it's just prohibitively expensive. And that prohibitively expensive cost is, a big deal. It's real. It's not like a tiny cost. It's not insignificant. And it's is a cost that means every time you move, you have to like lose a lot of your stuff, a lot of your value. So it no longer makes sense to make a ton of, specialty tools for doing metalworking if you're going to have to throw them away all the time, right? Every time you move. It doesn't make sense to have, 100 different hammers. You can have different hammers for different jobs that are really, really good at one specific job and be more efficient, be more accurate, be, better at making the things with these hammers because you can't keep all the hammers every time you move. So nomadic tribal stuff doesn't make a lot of sense. I've heard of some like nomadic civilizations in the steppes who would have like temporary settlements that they'd go to every now and then to do metalworking in like the mountains near Hungary and stuff, or what was now like, uh, so near like Hungary and Ukraine border nowadays. Um, but that was a very long time ago, right? And there's like light here, but it's like some weird reflection, but there's like nothing casting the light. Anywho, so yeah, this one too. It's like there's like a light on it. That's like from where? So, nomadic stuff, not very good for a job like metalworking or mining, right? If you want, first step of like creating a mine is you have to find where to mine, right? And that's like not a little thing. Like that's not a, like you have to basically make a whole mine just to see, hey, is there anything fucking here at all? And sometimes the answer is no. You just spent like a stupid amount of time doing all this digging and searching for something that was never there. And then you have to do it again and again and again until you actually find something. And it's very like, insanity doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. Like, that is what this is. It's insanity. But sometimes you do get different results. Look at. We need to get over there, and I'm not even sure how you get over there. I just know I don't really want to fight these spiders, but I'm probably gonna have to fight the spiders. Anywho, gotta fight the spiders. So, tribal nomadic society is not great for this. You also, one of the things you need for this to work, right? For this whole like specialization and jobs, as opposed to just everyone needs to find food for themselves. They need to make their own house. They need to, make all their own tools and everything, right? One of the other things you need for this is you need a merchant class. You need somebody who finds these people who are really good at making blank, right? Who buys a ton of stock of it, who will take it somewhere else where there isn't anyone good at making blank, or where, they don't have a mine for copper and he, bought up all this copper when he was copper mine real cheap. He goes somewhere where there isn't any copper, he sells all the copper. Profit, right? You take a thing that you can get in one place to somewhere you can't get it and you sell it and you make profit. That's how that works. Or, you can't get it as good, you can't get it as cheaply or whatever. You have a market, you take things from a market, you find another market where that thing is valued more. That's how that works. Trading. Or at least, the old form of trading. Not like, crypto NFT, shorting markets, all that craziness. Like I got a camel. I'm putting stuff on my camel. I go from point A to point B. Old school. Or mule or whatever. Sometimes it's a mule. Mules are cool too. Anywho, so you need to have a trader because people who do all this trading means you, the person making this thing, don't have to find people to buy your thing. All you have to focus on is making that thing, because if you can spend like 0 times selling it, right? If you spend 100% of the time making the thing and you don't have to spend any time selling it, you can theoretically make more stuff that is worth more value than it is for you to spend half your time making it, half your time trying to find people to sell it to. Because in trying to find all that, people to buy it, the cut you take isn't going to, like, service 100%, but there's also the cost of making it, right? And there's the time cost. So if you can, instead of spending half your time, making it, half time selling it, you spend 100% time making it, and then make twice as much stuff, but still sell it all to the same merchant at the same price, and that price is good enough that it makes up the difference. You can spend all your time making stuff, but because you're spending all your time making stuff, you get even better at making stuff, right? And also because you're making more things, you also need more of these materials. So if you're buying stuff from the guy who makes coal, or the guy who makes, charcoal or wood or whatever, right? Maybe he'll give you a better deal because you're buying so much more of it. So that's also a factor. Is like your cost of other stuff might go down because there are some one-time costs that you're paying once also. So like the economics of it, all of a sudden it makes more sense to make more things and sell things to a merchant and yada yada. So that is one aspect of it. And also you have to have these other markets that, you have to have somebody who sells food so that you can use this money you make making all this to buy food. Otherwise, what's the fucking point? You know what I mean? You have to have merchants, you have to have like all these other like people doing all these other things that support you in, making swords and getting really good at it, right? So in order for you to like, you can't just do this out of the blue and just spend all your time at it and still like get food and eat and survive and have housing and pay your taxes. So travel societies, all these other jobs don't always exist, and because of this, it's not always possible for you to, be this dedicated sword making person. So maybe you don't be this dedicated sword making person, and maybe you don't have as good quality steel because they don't have, generations and generations of like master smiths and whatever passing down information, right? Because this didn't exist. Glacian, there you are. And so they don't figure out, okay, this is like the best way to make steel. This is the best way to make this. This is, we need to heat it up above a certain temperature. This is how you make spring steel. You gotta heat it below a certain temperature, but above this other temperature till it's this color, and then you let it cool. It's gotta cool naturally. You can't quench it. But when you're doing this other hardening thing, you do have to quench it. And it's like, it's complicated. And a lot of that stuff is figured out through trial and error of somebody that's, spending all of their time doing this all the time, and they figure stuff out. They get good at it. They make discoveries. They teach new people how to do it because it's a profession, it's a job, and if you get good enough at it, all of a sudden you run to a point where it's like there's all these other parts that are not so hard, but there's these some parts that are hard. And if you could, have somebody work for you and you teach them how to do this, and at some point they do it by themselves, but in the meantime, they're working for you. You're not paying them all that much, and they can do some of the easier stuff and still be productive enough to be worth the time it is for you to teach them. Now, all of a sudden, having an apprentice starts to become economically viable, and something where having that apprentice means you can make more things and still keep that quality and still make lots and lots of stuff and actually be worth teaching a new person how to do this stuff in exchange for them working for you for a certain period of time, maybe working at a certain price for a certain period of time. Like you don't pay them, like you feed them and house them, whatever, or however you set that up, right? Medieval era. This isn't like I have to follow, these regulations and whatever. Like, what are regulations? Didn't exist. Well, they did it during certain periods. Like, literally today, I was quoting the fucking silver regulations of like the 1300s because apparently that's a thing. Like, back in the day, I didn't know it went that far back, but 1300s. Because they're like, okay, no silver can be worse quality than the silver of the king, and that is sterling silver. That's how we got it. It's like, hey, this is the bare minimum is what we're using. Don't do anything worse than that, and that can make it easier to figure out counterfeits because if you can compare the currency to that, And if the currency is more pure than what you're doing is illegal, you're under arrest. And everyone has currency everywhere, so it's sort of like an easy comparison. Because, you know, people tend to have money. Like gas. Sort of important. Anywho. It fixed counterfeiting, but then it also did this other thing of like making it harder for people to melt down coins and add some other metals in there to scam people and be like, here's a coin, except for, oh no, it's only a little bit silver and lots of other cheap metals, and I'm scamming you, and ha ha ha. And like, that'd be an interesting book, The History of Scams. The problem is, there's so many horrible scams throughout history that people have just forgotten. If you did write that book, some of them might come back. That would suck. Alrighty. So, new spot is, in the Asslands. And apparently all of them are that same Assland map. Because all of them said that I didn't know it, and then I clicked on one of them, and now I can't click on any of them. Yeah. Anywho. We have got to be, yeah. You're good enough to walk. And you're good enough to walk. And you're not. Green is not. But you probably are, and you're not. So you can get put down. You can get put down. Beep needs to still carry someone. We're gonna carry bot. Ruki is good. Pick up. And then you're not good. Green's not good. Like, anywho. So, the very long-winded way of getting about this is they just didn't have this type of culture that promoted people to be able to spend all their time doing metalworking, so they didn't have as good quality metalworking because they didn't have all of these layers of basically infrastructure of like, you need a merchant class and you need like people to make the steel and people to mine the iron and people to mine the coal and people to make all the like more food than they need to sell it at market so that all these other people can buy food from the money they get from doing all this stuff. And you need like a government that prints coins and for there to be a currency because like in parts of Africa there weren't any currency at all. And like I know it sounds completely insane, but ooh, yeah, good boys. Good boy. Oh. And I'm seeing some blue swords, which means they're not complete garbage. And this is great. Good timing. Good timing. And we do not want to loot all of these fucking spiders, because, fuck spiders. But we are going to loot these guys, because meat is important. Who is the meat guy? I think it's Jolteon? Yes. Keep 2 of these. And also move the leather across. Move that to a different pack animal. Nope. Right, no. Trade with Jolteon to Flareon. To, I guess you will do. And, okay. So, 2 meat here. You already have meat, right? Yes. Bot. Cloud. Green. Beep. Then all of humans. 2 fists for you. 2 fish. 2 fish. Because if they get too hungry, they will take a negative to their combat stats. So I am a little bit worried about that. I don't want people running around with like negative whatever combat stats. That'll suck. You're out of range. You're good. You already have the meat. Okay, and then trade the horns to like you. Sure. You don't have space. Sure. And some of you still need stuff. Kill the spiders. Fuck spiders. Anywho. So, to solve this problem of we don't have very good quality metal, we don't have very good quality smiths, their solution was either in some places to make shorter weapons, in some places to make bigger weapons, but to make them more dense, so that they were, it took more effort to break them or bend them because a lot of times they weren't spring steel, which is like the standard in a lot of places, but not in Africa. And that's something where it's like you have to like everything's a comparison, right? If you're using not spring steel, but all of your enemies are also using not spring steel, it's not like it is like not as good, but it's not as good for everyone. It's like sort of like in the Bronze Age, and everyone's using bronze. Well, that's fine until somebody starts using iron, and then it's like, oh, he has iron and I have bronze. Now I'm at a disadvantage. But if we're all using bronze, there isn't a disadvantage because we're all equal using the same stuff. Alrighty. So trade with Glaceon. Okay. Dump all of this. Dump all of this. Keep those. Dump. And dump these. Those toppers I don't really want. So it said this is it's between a katana and a saber. Not really. So this is more like a Chinese weapon. Which it's a type of Dao. I can't remember the name off the top of my head. It's like Zanman Dao or something like that, and it translates to horse chopper, and that's what this is. But weight wise, 9 kilos, no. But it is like the shape and size of it is like sort of the idea of that. But they weren't nine kilos. They weren't that crazy. You guys. Okay. Get together. Trade. Sure, that guy. Alright. So, Sylveon. Wait, am I trading? Why am I trading Sylveon? Is that how? No, I want to trade Glaceon. Glaceon. Alright. I need to trade with Flareon, who is the medic. And I need to trade with Jumpion, who is the tech person. And I think all these maps, I already know the stuff on them. And I need to trade. Let's see, can I trade you? No. You? No. Yes. Yes. Make any more space? Maybe. Probably not. A little bit. Actually, I should probably dump the rest of these books, but I can't. If I grab something else. Fine. Dump. Hmm. It's not gonna fit. Yes? Okay. Sure. And I can't dump this? I can. Dump that. Review? Yes. What else? What else? And this is Glaceon, so I can trade a Sylveon. Might be able to dump some of these items. Ooh, I got rid of some stuff. Got rid of steel. Alright. I can call that good. Achilles. Alright, go back and get the rest of that shit. Gorilla's katana and iron plates. Anywho. So, examples, right? I have a Nugulu, right? And a Nugulu is a Congolese chieftain's well, sometimes it's two, sometimes it's one. Okay, so imagine a sword, right? And at the end of the sword, you have this part that comes out like a half crescent moon. And that half crescent moon has an edge on it that's sort of like an axe, but it's attached to a sword. And it sounds kind of crazy. Some of them have two of these half crescent sections, some of them have one. And its functionality wise, it's like an axe, but the entire shaft is a sword up until you get to the part that you grip, and then you have a grip, right? So it's like a sword grip, and then a sword, and then an axe at the end of it. And it sounds crazy, and it is, and it feels like it weighs way more than it does. And it weighs about 2.2 pounds, which, for reference, I have two other swords of similar weight. One of them is a 1796 clone, and it's a Austrian version, which is heavier than the 1796, and it's heavier than the 1811, which is what it's a clone of. So it's a clone of the 1811. This is normally about like 2.1 pounds, and that's like not kilos and all that jazz. Sumimasen, Europeans, but I'm not in Europe, and they're not too heavy, not too light, pretty good. And but the balance is like the important thing. Like, how does it balance, right? And then you go over to this Nugulu, and the balance is horrible, horrible. But here, context: it's not a weapon to be used in the field of battle. It's a weapon to execute people with and cut their head off. So, from that context, it doesn't need to handle amazingly because the person you're going to kill is going to be tied up. And there are like illustrations of this from the Congo, from like people who went there and saw it happen and drew it, and it's like, but no video because this is way before video, this is way before camera, and this is from the time when the chieftains actually did some governing, and just like, what? You're not a colony? What is this blasphemy? Free Africans? Lagas? This is also from a period where Africa was very heavily into the slave trade. Like, that's like something that no one ever talks about in like a lot of the movies. Like, there's a movie upcoming about the slave trade, and it's about the warrior queen who was not actually a queen and who's members of the king's guard, but there was from this kingdom, and there's never been a queen, like a ruler who was a female, and the person who's like the queen never married like the king. So it's sort of like little bit alternate history here. And it's a little bit alternate history that's like not entirely correct, probably because they want to have this. And instead of looking at like the actual people like who did when something like this sort of happened or did happen, they're like, let's make something. That's easier than like work. We don't want to do work. But anywho, like, Africa was a big part of the slave trade. Like, the slave trade existed, and at the scale it existed, because so many people in Africa were willing to enslave other tribes. because they didn't see other Africans as like part of the same group. They saw them as other because they weren't of my tribe. They saw them as other as like the other, Europeans. Like they looked at someone from like Europe and was like, this person is completely different from me. As much so as this guy from like Europe is from like this other African tribe from the Congo. And because they had such a like different like view there, they weren't able to work with a lot of these other groups in the way that you would think they would and make sense in today's world, because we see them as like, okay, maybe they're different tribes, but they're the same people in the same country with the same basically enemy with slavery. But to them, no, they weren't. And that's like a very big, important distinction that we have to try to sort of grasp when trying to understand them. It's like back then and why they were involved in this is because they did not see themselves that way. And that's something that we can maybe learn from is like, hey, tribalism has bad parts to it, and that like it sort of makes you see people you should maybe that are more alike than different as not alike at all, because you have this history of fighting because you've been competing over the same resources or whatever. I dump some of these. Can I dump some of that? No. This? Yes. No. 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 Yes? A couple of them. Yeah. Books. Yes. Okay. So what can I dump? Maybe? No. I'm just hitting various things, hoping they already have some already in that stack, and then back to place here. Alright. So we got at least, oh wait, that, what? No, it wasn't him, it's gotta be like a spider here somewhere underneath all of that. Alright. Okay. Well, nobody's passed out at the moment. Nobody new is passed out. I got some stuff over here. So, Africa was super into the slave trade. And because of this, certain parts of Africa, some of the weapons are designed to be like around that, is that like you might be getting like really close to people with the slave trade who maybe you're going to use that weapon on. So like you want to be able to disable them and wrestle them to the ground and whatever, but then also have this thing that you could kill them with if you need to use it to kill them with. Because like, oh, they got the upper hand on you and now they're strangling you or strangling your buddy or whatever. Right? So like they want to be armed, they want it to be not too big because you want to get like really close. And so that's why in certain parts of areas, a lot of the weapons are what we consider kind of small, because they're also designed to be used close up in like very close quarters when you're like trying to basically think police arrest type closeness. But different context. You're not putting me in jail because I'm a criminal. You're putting me into jail because you want to sell me into slavery because you're the criminal, or not criminal depending on the kingdom's laws. A lot of kingdoms were like super okay with slavery as long as they got paid. And a lot of people were like, you can't do slavery on our tribe, but if you want to do slavery on some other tribe, well, go ahead. We don't care. Because they didn't, a lot of them, they still don't see them as like, we're one people in one country. We're like, we are this tribe is our own separate country. We have nothing to do with all the other tribes, but we're the same country and we live in the same place. We have the same needs and we have the same enemies. They can't see behind the tribalism. Which is kind of sad, but like kind of understandable. Like in America, like you go back to the Civil War. What is that if not, tribalism between states? Like different states had different things, and it's like you can't tell me what to do. Well, we voted on it democratically. We decided this thing, and it's like, no. Why no? Tribalism. Good and bads. It can also be useful for like coming together and dealing with problems, or like finding help when like you have a government that's not so good and you need a government, but there is no government. And oh look, there's no functional government, but there's a tribe, and the tribe can sort of be a pseudo government. That can work out sometimes. Sort of like for a long time, Afghanistan had all of these different tribes that were basically running the show after the Soviets left. And it was sort of like, we don't want to go to war with each other, right? Because there's all these different tribes, and basically everyone suffers when we go to war with each other. It's like there's no winners, there's lots of losers, right? So we want to try to get along to a certain degree, and they could like figure that out and like implement that between all the various tribal leaders. And then like when all this chaos happened with the whole like America coming in and messing a lot of stuff up, that like couldn't happen again because we tore all that apart trying to like put them into a democracy, and the things we built were not as strong as the tribes that were there before, and then they couldn't deal with ISIS and terrorists and all the other problems. That's part of it. There's also like there were lots of groups there that we made deals with, and then we later were like, well, we said this, but we're not going to do this because somebody used to be in charge and now they're not in charge, or whatever, or maybe the same people in charge, but it's like their boss changed their mind or whatever. And as a result, people started to like not trust America because you can't trust the various groups to do the thing they say they'll do. It's like, why don't they trust us? I wonder why. That's one of the other things. Like throughout history, we've had to make deals with people who were bad people, and that's like happened a lot of the times. Like when we were making deals with Stalin while he was literally killing millions of his own people, but we kind of had to do that to beat the Nazis. And if we didn't do that, maybe us doing our own thing separately would have still beaten the Nazis. Maybe, but like we'll never know that now. But like we did work together. We did beat the Nazis. Part of that was, hey, we had this thing going on. We're working together, even though like we weren't really friends in any way, shape, or form. We didn't get along. Like we had very, very big differences in like stuff, and that immediately led to the Cold War as soon as the war was over, and lots of disagreements. But like, trade with Umbreon. Yes, Umbreon to trade with. I think you. Yes, we want this and that Edgewalker. Yeah, yeah. Okay, and we should probably look for somebody like you. Give you that. John. Now you have a backup. Anything else we wanna while I'm in here? I don't think so. Alright. We're getting to the point where we need to get somewhere to sell stuff. Like Drifter's Last. Oh, we don't want to fight you. Anywho. I'm just going on rabbit trails all day today. I don't know what's going on. Mods capable of focusing on African swords and why they are the way they are. So, quality of metal, how they're using it, quality of metal work, because they didn't have many people dedicated to it. Like in 1100 AD in Germany and Holland did. Like that was the thing. There was like all these, people who like this huge industry, and all they do is make weapons and armor, and that was just going on for like forever, right? And we are not gonna lose that in the water. Nobody here is good swimming. Maybe some other time. We have too much stuff anyway. Hey, that looks like a destroyed shit city. And the game is paused for some reason. Oh no, I hate this bug. Okay. So unpause. Stuff is loading. FPS is going pretty high again. Hit play. Let time pass. Saving. Saved. Loading. And nope, they're all invisible still. I have to reload to fix this. But hey, we have discovered another ruin. There's another ruin over here, and we're almost to Drifter's Last. We have traveled in all this time from here to here, hitting all of these ruins. Holy shit. Like, this is crazy. This is crazy. But I think this is probably a good place to end it, because well, actually, do we want to get all the way to the city, or do we want to edit here? The graphical glitch seems to have fixed itself. I just needed to continue loading for a few seconds. Do I want to raid this place? I don't remember if there's anything here. It's been so long since I've raided Shun. Not seeing stuff pressing Alt. There might be things here. I have a feeling there isn't. I'd see stuff by now. Let's see, people, there doesn't seem any buildings you can go in that are like complete, that hide stuff. It'd be like this completely ruined and abandoned. Yeah. What? The ruins are ruined? Anywho. So, one of the consequences of this is you see there's a lot of value put upon foreign swords in Africa. So, you often see Kingsguard of various kingdoms using foreign swords and foreign sabers from all over the place. And not just like using them like when they got them, using them for many generations, because like you only get so many, swords from Britain in the kingdom of let's see, I'm blanking. Fuck. What's that kingdom called? Recently I was looking up this one Dahomey? Dahomey. The Kingdom of Dahomey, yes. Probably mispronouncing that. My every African dialect is rusty because I don't know any African languages. Just English and some broken Japanese. But in the Kingdom of Dahomey, there were the Kingsguard. There's some photos of them from like late 1800s, where you could see that some of them had European sabers, and they also had European rifles. But sabers were interesting to me because they appeared to be British 1796 style sabers, and that was like extremely popular. But also, the dates of the British using them and the dates of them having them would suggest that those have been in the country in use for like 80 years at that point or something. So it's sort of like, not only are they getting them, they're using them forever because they can't get new ones very often. and because they're like so rare and valuable that they're like the Kingsguard are using these super old swords because this is that ancient sword that's been in the family for generations. you know, is something from Europe because they had better quality steel. Which I would love to see in like movies and films and TV and whatever. Like, hey, there's like this thing going on where or like in India, like when Britain finally like took India and they started raiding the uh, armory of the king of the emperor of India, right? The Mughal emperor. Uh, they discovered that there were thousands and thousands. I think something like 4 or 5 thousand German sword blades. And they use the word German, but because they use the word German for all trade blades. So if it was a trade blade, so a blade made like just a blade made to be sold as part of like the trade route, normally to like somewhere in Africa or India or the Middle East or wherever. And a lot of them made the way to India from the Middle East, and a lot of them in Africa stayed in Africa. But it was normal to call them trade blades because they were made for that. That was their purpose. And it was something where it was like very, very popular because for India, they did have good steel in India. They had really good steel in India called Woots. And Woots was amazing. But here's the thing. Woots took a long time to be made correctly. So the modern people making Woots have struggled to make Woots at where it comes out as Woots every time. Where sometimes it does or doesn't based on there's some extremely rare like rare earth mineral that's inside certain steel from certain mines, and if you have just the right amount of it, you get woods. And if you get too much or too little, you don't get woods. And you also have to do like all this other stuff, but it's somewhat of a long process. And during this long process, if you mess it up, if you don't do it quite right, you don't get woods, and you basically have to start over from scratch, right? And so one of the theories is that we are missing something. There's something that we are not doing right, that we don't know. And because we don't know this thing, we can't make it the right way. We can't make it and get exactly that 100% of the time. But there's another possibility that a lot of people haven't really been like thinking about or talking about, which is that once upon a time when all this was going on, they didn't make it the right way every single time. They made it the wrong way a lot of the time, and that was just normal. It was normal to make it and fail, which is possible. Like maybe they didn't make it right all the time. Maybe sometimes they made it the right way and sometimes they made it the wrong way. And like that was part of the process and part of why it was so expensive is because sometimes you go to make it and you don't make it. You make something like it, but not quite. Which is a possibility. And it's a possibility that like nobody's talking about. I've never heard anyone like talk about this idea that maybe that is why it was so expensive, is because sometimes when they tried to make it, they had to throw it away because it wasn't quite right. And but nowadays that's a problem that we've run into, and we haven't, as far as I know, we haven't solved it. And also calling modern day Woots is maybe accurate, maybe not inaccurate, because we have recipes of old Woots. We had recipes of old Woots where we put them together and it wouldn't quite be right, and we wouldn't get Woots. And we didn't know what was going on for a long time. And we eventually figured out, okay, if we add this thing, we get Woots. And assumably it was in some of these mines because they had this bit in there, and it's like below, like I think it's like 0.0 like 2% of whatever. And so it's like very trace amounts. And so this theory was like, okay, well they had it in these mines. They figured out, okay, it has to be metal from these mines. And that's, theorized Damascus mine. So it has to be Damascus steel because it's from the mines of Damascus. not just any mines. So not only do you have to use, all of this stuff, you have to specifically use iron from these specific place that has this, stuff in it at the right percentages, but not always nowadays. And like people say, well, maybe once upon a time it was always like that, but there's no way to know that. But here's the other theory: is what if back then it was like now? Sometimes you get the right amount, sometimes you don't. And because sometimes you do and sometimes you don't, it takes a lot longer to make anything because you're just going to fail over and over again until you don't, right? And because you're failing over and over and over and over and over until you get something right, you're wasting a lot of time and effort and metal making essentially garbage until you hit gold and make it perfectly. And that would explain why we have tales of root swords taking months or years to make. And that would explain why it was so rare, it was so valuable, because it was so difficult to make, and it was also secretive to make, because in truth, they didn't really know all the secrets. And maybe they would say they know all the secrets, but they really didn't. They just knew, okay, I have to use all these things, but if I do it right, I'll get the right thing sometimes not. We don't want to get involved in this. Like, slavers versus peasants. This is not a fight we want to get involved in. Fuck off. If you want to fight me, you're gonna die. And he's catching up. So I guess you get to die. Okay, don't chase him down. Okay, so committing crime on IP config. Quote unquote imposter among us. That. Yeah, that's into the hills. Grandmother's house we go. That guy's gonna get fucked. Look at him. His stomach. He's like one hit from literally dying. And he's like chasing us all down by himself. Crazy bastard. I'm gonna just put us on hold. Let him walk up to us and get completely fucked. Heyo. Oof. And he's dead. I wonder, does he have any food? We're a bit low on food. What do you got? Fuck it. I don't want to just worry about stolen goods right now. Especially when we get close to Driftwood Blast, and we need to sell some more stuff. And we're maybe gonna run into some problems. Mostly that half our people using stolen samurai gear. I really don't want to take any armor off right now. Anywho. So, you had the situation in India where you had this really, really good quality metal, but you could not make it right all the time, at least not nowadays. And back then, maybe not. Oh, wait, that's a merchant. I need to come talk to you. And you are a... anyone imposter? Yes. Come on, let me trade with you. Tell me what you got. Alright, you don't have any money, But that's okay because we fucking need food. Alright? We need fucking food. And we have stuff to sell. Alright. What is causing... Okay, that's fucking big. And not very valuable. We have all of this fucking animal skins. That's probably the thing to sell is animal skins. Or we could sell some of this iron plates. We do have a lot of them. We do have a lot of them. Let's try to get rid of that iron. Also all of these gears. Thinking right now, gears, iron plates. That's 1,000. Okay, that's a long time. And what else do we need that you have? Really nothing. Maybe medicine, but we have a lot of medicine. Maybe. Okay. I think that'll be good. That's good. Head to drifters last. No more problems. So, India. Big place. Billion people. Now. Once upon a time, hundreds and hundreds of millions, right? Very, very big place. Lots of people. You have this great... Okay, that's weird. Laggy. I hit fast forward. It is never fast forwarded. I'm gonna hit. Go forward. Move. Stop. Alright. All of you here. Yes. You want to head towards the city of Drifters last. Gonna be some loading at some point. Slave hunter. Okay, you guys do your thing, and if you fuck with me, you're gonna die. None of us should be looking like a empire, right? We're all good. We're all either taking our armor off or whatever. We're all good. Leave us alone. So I believe this is an empire settlement, right? United Cities. I believe let's come here and sell some stuff at what, the bar or whatever. So we've got a barracks, we got a bar, we got a general shop, ranger shop. Okay, that's good. General and mechanic. So 1, 2, and then armory. Oh, and this is like a store, not this like for the military. And a noble house. Okay, and then a barracks. All right. So we can sell stuff at the general shop, the armory, the mechanical shop, the other general shop, the ranger shop, and the bar. So a lot of places to sell stuff. This is very good. And we shouldn't have any problems. With anybody being on hold or wanted or anything. I think we have some people we could turn in profit if we really wanted to. A lot of people here. Anyone have stuff in their inventory to sell? Got some weapons and armor. Alright, you have some stuff. We don't really want to sell that. We want to sell. Don't want to sell. Sell. Don't want to sell. Okay. Okay. So that's what's on these guys. And I'm no longer worried about clearing stuff from the inventory. I'm just like, sell what we want to sell. It's fine. We probably have 2 month iron plates. Alright. So probably also come over here to the food boy, fill up on meat wraps and these. That should get us a bit farther. Yeah, sell those. And you're out. Okay. And if the rain stops, that'll do. Alright, we do need to get Green some more long boys. So, buy up the long boys. He was completely out of ammo. And this guy didn't really have much else good worth selling. We do want to get rid of all of this. Are you out? Almost, yeah. Alright. He's out of money. Walk into town. Take all the money. Every merchant. Leave. One guy that didn't have boots. What do you mean committing a crime? Kidnapping. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just not gonna worry about it and just get out of here. Empty out all of this garbage. You know what? We can all just leave immediately and mass run. Everyone, we'll send back the evolutions and like one guy. And if somebody wants to freak the fuck out about us, they can die. Yeah, good job, people. Be a distraction. Attack the city. Who's attacking us? Probably yeah. So, hold. You guys come here, and then we'll have like Achilles be the salesman. Yeah. Nobody will suspect a thing. Who's carrying Jolteon? Pseudo. Pseudo. Can you put him down? And come back with the others? Good boy. Hold off. Come over here. Achilles. Go in here, sell stuff. Alright. Who was I on? I was on this guy. Okay. Slightly more concerned about emptying inventory now. Because I've started to actually empty out some of these guys of various things. Probably have too many of these. Okay. Alright. I think I emptied this guy out, right? Alright, you got money? No, yes. Okay, that's what I thought. Gotta empty you out, and then hit up the other general shop, and then check the bar, see if they have anything good. They might. Who did I talk to at the armory? It's open. It might just be like an armory for them, not an armory for us to come in and do stuff with. Yeah. Okay, I feel bad. Can't buy stuff here. I don't think I emptied out that general shop. So last merchant. Then I go see. Ooh, wandering assassin. Alrighty. This is what you make bread out of. Wheat straw turns into flour. After you grind it, turns into bread when you add water. Just like magic. And you know, an oven. Okay. Okay. That will empty them out immediately. And out of money. Okay. And I've got really anything I want. To do is talk to the bar people, see if there's anyone interesting here. Then call it a day. Alright. So fucking packed. Alright, we got Squint, which is probably a randomly generated hireable person. We got Ridley. Hello, Ridley. Ah, fancy a drink? Who are you? I'm an adventurer. I've been trekking the southern outlands for the past 6 months. Had some bad luck with those damn raveners for the past few weeks, though. So I'd take a break in town. You? Um, Same. Traveling alone? Right. Traveling the dunes alone is pretty much suicide, but it beats hanging out these crusty old townships, don't you think? Where are you headed next? Wherever the road takes us. Wait, that's it? There's no money involved? He just joins us? Oh. I guess he is a, yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking this guy isn't randomly generated, but I don't think I've ever run into him before. But I don't come down here much. We got mercenary captain over here. Female mercenary captain. Times have changed, boys. It's happening. Alright, we got Aramid, who's randomly generated. We've got Kashaku, who is probably randomly. Shaku, and Global Pacifier, and Fumi. Let's start with Fumi. Who are you? How much you charging? Nope. Yeah, right. Super, super basic, randomly generated. No lines. Just, hey, looking for an ally. Who are you? Cannibals took my wife. This guy, yeah, he's a traveling merchant. He's got a backstory. This is not random. Okay. That sounds awful. It was. Awkward silence. So, he's super drunk. Okay. I've got contacts. That's the wrong person. Fumi. Forget it. What's your fee? No. I think you were the one I was talking to. Okay. I thought you were the guy who lost his wife. You're back, dude. Okay. Don't need anything. I guess it was it our. Damn it! I don't know who it was. Whatever. Somebody had a backstory. Sounded like not a randomly generated character, but I fucked that up. Whoops. So, let's see. Got a ton of random people over here. I'll come back next time. Start from scratch. How about you? Killing and eating. What's your price? 6K. He's got a cool pole arm, which is, cool. But I'm trying to do more robots and bug people this time. No reason, just feel like it. Alrighty. Hold off. Turn reins off for you. Great. So now Crumble John and New Guy have no jobs. Some other people also have no jobs. How did that happen? Oh, that's annoying. But I think that'll be good for this episode. We have made it to Drifter's Last. Now I can probably go back to the abandoned town. Well, go to the roads, not the abandoned town. The abandoned town, nothing. Probably some stuff in the hook. But it's so long since I came here to have to look it up. But, yeah, it's been episode 29, I think, of Kenshi 101. We're almost up to 30. Been doing this for a while. If you've gotten this far and you like it, let me know. Been looking around trying to find some new work. And if I do find some new work, the question is, do I keep doing this or not? I don't know. Depends on if this is going anywhere. And how many people are liking it. But till then, looks like samurai having a good time beating up some peasants. Until then, to be continued. See ya.